Here at Kudu, we are often asked a seemingly simple question. What are the differences between the PS5 consoles? So the main differences between the two consoles stem from the hardware. One console, the digital version, which we have over here, this one has no disk drive on it. This one has a 4K ultra high definition Blu-ray player. That is the only difference between the two consoles. This slot over here. Hardware specifications are the same, software applications are the same. Obviously the dimensions are going to slightly differ because you've got this piece that protrudes a bit over here to make space for the actual disk drive. So for you as a person who's deciding which console I need to get for my own personal use, there's just a few things that you need to consider. If you are migrating from a previous generation console, for example, a PlayStation 4 to a PlayStation 5, and you decide to go with the digital version, something to keep in mind is that if you have physical copies of PlayStation 4 games and the publisher has offered a free upgrade on those games, you will not be able to access that free upgrade. Because in order to access those free upgrades from the publisher, you need to insert the disc, the physical copy of the game, into the machine, which will then verify it and then offer you the free upgrade. So if you have the digital edition, you will not be able to go that route. Thus, all your physical copies of games from PlayStation 4 are going to get left behind. So you're going to have to completely migrate over to digital. If you buy the disc version, you're catered for and you can just put the disc in. You obviously need to be connected for this, for it to be verified, and then you get the PlayStation 5 version. If you're the type of gamer that has migrated over to the digital space, then the digital edition is the console for you. However, there are a few things to remember when making this decision. How do you use your PS5? Think about your daily usage of your PS5. Are you using it as a streaming center? Are you playing DVDs, Blu-rays off of it? If so, disc is the way to go. Another thing to consider is your access to internet. The digital edition requires internet access at all times. You're going to be downloading your games from the PlayStation Store. You will not be putting a physical disc into the console. You need to consider your internet connection in the area you live. If you know that your area is prone to a lot of disconnects from the internet, or you have problems with your internet service provider, the PlayStation Disk Edition is probably the better option for you, so that you know you are covered in those downtimes and you can still game. The Disk Edition does give you a little more flexibility. It allows you to say, okay, I'm going to put a disc in and I'm going to play offline. With the digital edition, you don't have that decision. You cannot put a disc in. If the game's already downloaded and it's an offline game, yes, you can play it offline. But if it's a game that requires internet connection, or it requires an update, or you need to download a game, you're going to run into some problems over there. There's a certain ritual behind gaming. You see the game you want, perhaps you order it online, or you go to your preferred gaming store and you go and buy the actual disc. And when you install, you're looking at the cover and you're reading it and you're holding it. It's a very tactile sensation, you know, all your senses are involved. You're walking, you're smiling, you're talking to people. You're getting home, you're peeling the plastic off, you're opening it up, you're hearing that click as you open up, you're hearing the click as you push down the button in the middle to release the actual disc. You're powering on your console, you're hearing the drive spool up as you put it in, you're hearing that whirring sound, you're picking up your controller, you're turning it on. These are all sensations that we experience and we take for granted. But when you move over to digital, that's all gone. All of that experience is gone. And I know for some of the gamers I've spoken to, they actually miss that now that they're not in digital. They miss when you're finishing a game, you completed it and you eject it for the last time. There's that sense of reward, that sense of achievement. I know that on digital, perhaps you may not miss that, but it's also something to consider. We are transitioning into a digital space. However, I think that some gamers may miss the nostalgia of the tactile sensation of opening and handling games. How much longer we're going to have that, who can say? So perhaps we must enjoy it while it lasts. So essentially, what are the differences between the two consoles? There's only one major difference. One has a disk drive, the other does not. This obviously does affect price, because here you ever have an extra piece of hardware. Ultimately, it is a personal decision. One needs to look at how they game and how they consume their media on their PlayStation 5. This will dictate which version you end up getting.